Hey, Chiefs. Great job on the Bullet the podcast for Joe Schriefer. What an episode, huh? And love all the enthusiasm and good spirit and great bullets this round. So keep at it. We all grow when we do these. So I'm going to quickly run through because there's a lot of submissions, and I just want to give some top level feedback that I hope will help you guys. Think through your bullets next time, and this is how we all get better. So let's check it out. Joyce, great to see you in the competition. My overall comment for your bullets is they need a little bit more context. If you see some of the other submission, they kind of go into detail, and that's what ramps up the curiosity when we're talking about some specifics that make the reader who we want to be compelled to listen think, oh, I think I know something about that, or that sounds like something I would care about, but the only way I'm going to understand exactly what's being said is to listen. So things like even the best marketer is nowhere without good writers, certainly a very true statement, but it's just lays it out there. It doesn't it's a declaration and not doesn't inspire curiosity, right? So read through some of the other submissions, and I think that'll help you see how to put a twist on a bullet. But great job getting in there. Thank you for contributing. Also, look for Clayton Makepeace has a great bullet formula template that is linked in our bullet training. There's a training inside the training section of Copy Chief called the Bullet Masterclass, and that will help you a great deal as well. So awesome. Thank you, Joyce. Eric, good stuff. One thing I didn't, I don't know, you weren't consistent on the times here, so that made it a little more difficult. But what's important is the writing here. And a lot of good stuff. Let's see, just some quick examples. Mhm. Yeah, so here's a good one. Like Joe's escape from angry sports enthusiast and roundabout journey to becoming head honcho at Agora. Great bullet, except for roundabout journey. Kind of throws me, makes me think too much. I'm not sure I know what that means. And it kind of ruins the flow of the bullet. So it might be something like Joe's escape from, from angry sports enthusiast. Like, I don't get the context. Like, is that what that? I know that was his job, right? So I think you might have been better served by being more direct here. Joe's escape from, uh, you know, having to cater to angry sports enthusiasts, or Joe's escape from the 9 to 5 grind dealing with angry sports enthusiasts, something like that. And how, and his unpredictable journey to becoming head honcho at Agora Financial. We would have to be specific there. He's not the head honcho at all of Agora, just Agora Financial. So stuff like that is helpful. Really, just paying attention to detail there is the key. Josh, man, I really liked your bullets. I thought they were fantastic. You're definitely a contender to win this round. A couple little notes. Let's see. Let me just read through some. How Joe got his start at Agora straight out of college without any writing experience, and why he almost passed up the position. Yeah, it's good. How Joe started dissecting winning pieces to see what worked and quickly put together what made a campaign a success or a bomb. See, that one's almost maybe just a little too broad, a little too vague. How Joe. So, we could ramp up the intrigue here by saying something like the blank that led Joe to begin dissecting the great, the highest earning sales letters at Agora, ... and how this led to him creating the system that all but guarantees whether a campaign will be a success or a bomb. You see the difference there? It's very declarative, and tells the story a little more dynamically. So think about your word choice. These are good bullets, but I think if you would have went back through and said, all right, now how can I make this feel more exciting? What are other ways I could say this? I'd say just about every bullet is good. I love your choices. You're a smart writer, undoubtedly. The next step for you is to start thinking, how can I really make this sing? How can I make this pop off the page, right? Rodney, again, you too, man. Great bullets. These were really strong. And your first one, too. Excellent. So let's see. Let me just read through some and remember my notes. Last year, Joe's team generated sales worth $140 per word. Find out how they got these insane results. Now, this is cool, except the problem is because we don't know the overall number, we have no idea what that meant. Like $140 a word is amazing, but if it's a Facebook ad, maybe it's not that impressive, right? The fact that they wrote 1 million words and it, ended up being the equivalent of $140 a word, that's what makes it staggering, right? So make sure you're given a context in your bullets that, think of the reader reading it and are they going like, oh my God, at the end of it, oh my God, right? And this misses that because we're not giving the full context. So that'd be my biggest note for you, Rodney. Consider context and remember that the reader wants, what do they, the avatar, what are they going to want to know and make them go, we want their leg shaking with anticipation to hear this, to find out what this thing is. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, look at some of the other Hell Week bullets. I thought did a really good job of capturing this moment. Yeah, good stuff. Okay. Yeah, this one has probably too many numbers. Sales are projected at 70. Sales where? We got to be more specific, right? Up from 51 million just 3 years ago. We unveiled the exact reasons for the 330%. So again, you gave context here, but it's just a lot of numbers at the end of it, and I don't come away going, oh God, I gotta go, I gotta know that. Like put some, dangle a carrot there, put some meat on that bone. Okay, cool. Let's see, Jake, what's up, Jake? Very cool. Let's see, another newbie, man. Great. Thanks for diving in. I hope to see you as a regular. Your bullets were good. My immediate reaction is that they're long. It's okay to have, actually really probably never okay to have, I shouldn't say never, like there's really no cut and dry rule on everything here, but you really want to keep it to 2 quick lines. Think of it lyrically. We talk a lot in these contests about making the bullets lyrical. You should be able to sing them. And so you want to read these out loud, and, bullets are at their best when they're short, punchy, one, like John Carlton's 1-2 punch, as little as 10 words, as many as maybe 20 words, somewhere in that range. So some copywriters get paid $140 to write an ad or email. Some copywriters get paid over $1 a word. Learn how Joe and his team at Agora Financial earned an average of $140 a word during the entire account. So that's just a lot of, during the entire calendar year. It's just a lot of description. And again, we don't have context for how much this actually earned them. And I don't know what copywriter gets paid $140 to write in there. Like, I don't, I know some do, but I actually like that. It's good. It's a nice story you're telling. Right? You're given context on why this is a startling stat. But again, without knowing that they did, they wrote 1 million words of copy, and that it ended up as this. We got to do the math for them. Yeah, I mean, you say this here, but by then I'm just kind of confused by the math, right? Like, we got to be direct. You might have said something like, learn how Joe and his team at Agora Financial generated $140 million in sales last year, and that equals $140 per word in all caps, right? So then we might have better context. So again, just think about tightening these up and just be the reader. After you write them, read them out loud. Think about, do you need words like entire calendar year? It's any extra word, it's got to go. Bullets are a great opportunity for us to be really shrewd with our word count. My man Jimmy Spencer, all right, buddy. What would you do to learn from the best minds of direct response game? Right now, all you have to do is listen. Joe needs all kinds of writers. Yes, even you. He shares his direct email address inside this podcast. Okay, cool. So I love what you're saying there, but you remember when, I think we've talked in the past in these reviews about one concept per sentence and one concept per bullet. You maybe can get 2 concepts in, but right here we kind of go all over the place. It's like, what would you do to learn from the best minds in direct response game? Well, right now all I have to do is listen. That's fine as its own bullet. But then we quickly go into Joe needs all kinds of writers, yes, even you. And that's, I don't know if that's exactly true. It might be them, maybe even you is what we could say there. And then the fact that he gives his email address, we're just kind of going, wait. It's sort of like you ran right to second base there without without the kiss or something. So just think about, more is not more in bullets, right? Like it's not about less is more. It's about the exact right amount is more, if that makes sense. So just think, am I saying too much here? And then be very shrewd. So here's another note. The freelance career kill switch rests on these misguided assumptions. Find out how they actually led to Joe breaking into the most prestigious firm in direct response game. Cha-ching. Okay. So when we're using a term that has never been heard before, so there's no reference for it, you've got to put some context around that term. And here, we're just saying it as if it's a known thing. And then we say, rest on these misguided assumptions. So this entire first half of this bullet is just totally vague to me. I don't know about any of this. And so I can't care because my brain has nothing to latch on to right there, okay? So it's a good note for everybody when you're using a term that is unique to what you're selling, in this case a podcast episode. Make sure you can ramp up curiosity around the phrase, but you've got to give it some context, okay? I like your choices of these cool little titles and stuff. This truth hammer, good stuff. And I think, here you say flipping the blank switch into on, but then up here you kind of already said kill switch, so it makes me think I know it already. So be careful and make sure that, you're not, even if it's different, if you use the word switch twice in one of them's mysterious blank, I'm going to just assume I already know what you're talking about. Max, the only reason you you can't win every week, buddy. And your bullets are just incredible, man. Your evolution over the last 5 rounds of this is staggering. And everybody knows that you and I've worked together quite a bit on your bullets because you write them regularly for the podcast when we're not holding these contests. So, caveat for everybody that Max, it's very fair that he enters these contests, but he does have an advantage because he's been afforded the opportunity to focus very, specifically on bullets. So what that means is, one, that, I got to take Max with a tiny grain of salt because I expect his bullets to be at the top of this list every competition every time, just because I know he's great and he's dedicated to it. And the second thing is look at Max over the last few rounds since he started doing these. His bullets were never bad, but they were nowhere near what he's doing now. So Max is a great example of a guy doing everything I teach and everything all copywriters, copywriting coaches probably emphasize about bullet writing. Is it lyrical? Is it sharp? Is it tight? Max is fantastic at curiosity. Really makes me eager to go find out what he's talking about because there's context. So let's look at a couple and see if Max is doing some of the things I've been pointing out in the other critiques. The single biggest telltale sign your campaign either bust controls or bombs. New kid on the block Joe accidentally discovers this while sneaking a peek at Agora's direct mail packages. So, see the difference there? Very clear on what's going on. So he's promising me that I'm going to learn the single biggest telltale sign your campaign will either bust the control or bomb. And then he says he gives context to where Joe was at this time. New kid on the block Joe accidentally discovers this while sneaking a peek at Agora's direct mail packages, right? One thing if I had a criticism here, I might say rather than sneaking a peek, I would say, reverse engineering the best of Agora's, Agora's most successful direct mail packages or something like that, right? So you get this vision of Joe being brand new at the company and, like sneaking into the file room downstairs, in a dimly lit room amongst all these boxes and just like all these sales letters spilled around his feet or, as he sits there cross-legged and reads through these things. And then, it's just great. It's visual. It's cinematic. It's just great, Max. You're really fantastic copywriter. And look at the full context here. The Navy SEALs inspired Hell Week method Agora uses to onboard, I would say, new copywriters right there. You'll zoom from raw rookie to got the numbers to back it up, direct response badass in only 2 months. So this needs a little more context, but again, you see how this is lyrical? You could sing Max's bullets. The one thing Joe looks for in a copywriter that instantly brands you a red-hot special talent. You see how that's lyrical? The one thing Joe looks for in a copywriter, I'm done, I can breathe, that instantly brands you a red-hot special talent. And it's got nothing to do with writing well or copy geekathons. So, if even forgetting what is being said here, which is interesting, but just focus on the lyrical aspect of Max's rhythm. Crucial with bullets. Great job, Max. Rev, I thought your Western theme was fun. Personally, I would never run with something like that in a I think you were just having fun with the process, but for me, I wouldn't theme out, and it just gets a little hokey as it continues on here. But shows a lot of style on your part, and there are definitely places for that, especially in content and in social media and places like that. So kudos for going for it. Fun, made me laugh too. Well, butter my butt and call me a biscuit. It's good. It just made me feel like I was at uh, a roadside amusement park or something and having to endure the old West show or something. So, kudos for doing it. But I could tell you, I probably wouldn't pick a batch that was so heavily themed like this for that reason. I wouldn't be able to just, if I posted this, you got to consider what we're writing for too, right? Like, the stuff we send out has a very particular style, and this would be a big departure from that. So, again, I think you were just having fun with it. I thought you did a nice job, but it's something to consider that to actually win this thing, you'd have to be a little more in voice. Um, so, otherwise, great bullets. Why Agora was the job Joe wanted the least, knew the least about, and paid the least, and why he took it anyway, and how it changed his life forever. It's pretty good. Again, a little more context to this. Why the job at Agora was the one Joe wanted least. It's also the one he knew the least about and that paid the least money. Just spell it out a little bit. And why he took it anyway. And why he realized he had to take it anyway, and it ended up changing his life forever. Something like that. So I'm going to give you the opposite note, is that you need a couple more words. So I love your economy, but you got to make sure that people are getting the full picture of what you're saying. Zach, the winner. Great job. Again, Zach's a guy who's been working really hard on his bullets, and if you look back over Zach's entries, the last few rounds, you'll see a big, big difference. I thought, Zach, like your bullets aren't amazingly stylized, and I think you could still work on making them a little punchier, but they're just so clear. I know exactly what you're talking about, and you're getting across some really great context and curiosity. So, coming up with a theme here in this critique: context. What is it? Context, clarity, and curiosity. That's the theme of this round of critiques. Sometimes it's all about rhythm. That's what these are this time. How lucky I was to take that job I didn't want. Yeah, great quote, right? It's got incongruity, so it makes me curious. Joe was certain his college degree was a fast track to riches, but life wasn't that straightforward. We'll have to edit that. Like again, I think you crap out on the end of this bullet just a little bit, but life wasn't that straightforward. Give us a little more there. Joe was certain his college degree was a fast track to riches, but life had other plans. I think would be more interesting, something like that. And I think it'd be straightforward, no S, right? 6:30. After 2 years at Agora, Joe hated his job. Can you guess how he found a dream role he didn't even know existed? So right here, I don't love can you guess. You'll be shocked to hear how he ended up in the dream role he didn't even know existed. Right? So, but overall, the bullets are clean. And I like how, I hope I'm not contradicting myself. I've said before that every bullet shouldn't ever rely on the bullet before it to tell the full story, right? So I don't like bullets that are a continuation of the previous bullet if I can't understand what they're saying on their own. In this case, you do a nice job of, this bullet into this bullet it continues the story. But if I just read this on its own, I get it, right? So, it's all about the job in the beginning. And, yeah, it's good. Yeah, this is good. Good curiosity. You're welcome to come work at Agora, but can you handle Hell Week? Let's hope you have this one intangible trait for long-term success is what propelled a former accountant into becoming Agora's top performing copywriter. Yeah. I've been working on this theory. I think it's the most important element right now in all of marketing. Without Kevin's crucial element, he reckons you're roadkill waiting to happen. Just know that quotes are double quotes. A single quote is a quote within a quote. So we'll edit that. But yeah, very good. With a twist to the usual question, this is the biggest business move that surprised Joe, allowing Agora to jump to 51 million 3 years ago to on course for 160 million. You got to say this year. With a twist to the usual question. It's a little vague. Might need a little more context there. So, yeah, I don't care if you've ever beaten a control. Do you meet Joe's two criteria to go join the big guns at Agora and fast track your career? I did see your question here. P.S. Kevin, do you have any preference between bullets being clumped together in time or spread out over a podcast? Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, I don't like, I'd like to think that I don't want people to see the timestamps and think, wow, like nothing interesting happens until the 18th minute, right? So yeah, I think you did a good job of spreading them out. There's not a problem there. But yeah, you're right. As if in most bullets, we're in the last quarter of the time. Yeah, of course that would be a bother because people would be saying, nothing. Wow, like, am I going to be tortured for the first 20 minutes of this thing? So yeah, we do need to spread them out. Manuel, good stuff, but again, needs a little more context. The origin story of the reluctant 140 per word ad man. Again, this $140 per word thing needs the bigger payout. Yeah. Avoid the time-wasting mistakes that Joe Schriefer made when he hired new blood copywriters for his team. That's good if the listener is interested in building a copy team. I think you could have given a little more context here that would have made it feel like this would apply to anybody, but that's very, very specific to Joe's scenario. This is great. The one trait Joe noticed all great copywriters have, and if you don't have it, start nurturing it right away. Good curiosity. Yeah. Good stuff. These are really good bullets, Manuel. Really good. Keep it up. I could see you in the winner's circle very soon. Great job. Larry, yep. Let's see. Yeah, finally. You're in time. It's good to be in time. You gotta hit those deadlines. So let's see. Yeah, again, this is like 10 minutes is I guess we could always not use the timestamps potentially, but it's a big part of what we're doing here. So be nice to have one or two before the 10-minute mark. Why having advanced degrees or fancy suits is 100% irrelevant to having a successful career in direct response. And three factors that are relevant but ignored by nearly every frustrated career seeker. All right, so it's pretty good. I like the length, but I don't think that anybody feels like that is relevant. So this is not like a big revelation to your listener. Anybody who studies direct response knows that it's not a traditional corporate kind of thing. So why having advanced degrees or fancy suits is 100%. It's just kind of yeah, of course, right? So think about that. Think about your avatar as you're writing to make sure that it's resonating. Want a copy team built for you. Here's how. It's pretty good. Discover how Agora's copy camp turns even accountants into A-list copywriters in 60 days. That's really good. When copywriting sickos need to get better, this is what they do. Why, if you can write a successful financial guide, you could probably perform brain surgery. That's good, but I would have actually probably used it more directly for what it is. You know, it's is it really harder to perform brain surgery? Is it really harder to write successful financial copy than it is to perform brain surgery? Question mark. You love hearing Kevin try to describe this one, or trying to, convince you of this, something like that. So, write directly. I would challenge the reader on that question to say, are you going to believe this or not, right? So, good stuff. Yep. Just why Joe insists on putting copywriters through Hell Week, model after Navy SEALs training, even though not everyone escapes unscathed. So right here you could say, even though not everyone escapes unscathed, you could say something like, plus the stories of people who couldn't survive, or something like that, right? Yeah, good stuff. All right. The ladies, finally, some women. Christy, good. Very direct. How-to career fails sealed Joe's faithful path in direct response copywriting. It's good. Why Joe desperately wanted to leave Agora after a year, and what made him end up staying another 14 years instead. Yeah, very good. The secret weapon Agora uses to ensure they get the top performance out of their copywriters. So this isn't one where, I love how directors are. Whenever I see a bullets of these length, I get excited, because I think if they're really doing their job of giving me enough context to be exciting, then that's special. There's a couple of these where we could use a little more context, or you could, like the secret weapon Agora uses. This is where it would have been great to name something that, like kill switch reference from before, something like that, where because anybody wants to know how they get their top performance, but secret weapon can be a little bit ignorable. Hiring mistakes that cost Agora lots of time, money, and headaches. Don't miss this. Yeah, see, this is my favorite one on this. You did a great job, because it tells me exactly, if I'm thinking of this, it tells me I need to know this. So now, if I'm a freelancer, or thinking of joining a team or growing a team, I need to know this. It gives me full context. How Agora writers are guaranteed to get at least one full promo within 3 months. How Agora writers are guaranteed to get at least one full promo within 3 months of being hired. Yeah, see, that's, again, a great fact. That's so enticing. If I'm a copywriter, I really want to know that. Could we have sexed it up a little bit by saying, again, instead of just how Agora, could have been like the blank blank method that guarantees new writers. You could say the blank blank method that guarantees even the most raw rookie copywriters at Agora will get their shot at one full promo within just 3 months of being hired. You see the difference there a little bit? Just ramps up the curiosity. It makes me feel like I'm going to learn something really proprietary here. One essential trait you must have if you want to be an A-list writer. The one essential trait every A-list copywriter shares, comma, do you have it? Question mark. If not, here's how to gain it. Something like that. Are you a believer? Without the corollary skill, you may fall flat on your face. Without this corollary. Yeah, that one's just vague. Like, I don't. Are you a believer in what? Right. Navy SEALs training Joe employees to get the best out of his company. Yeah. So again, your writing is very tight. You're making great choices on what to write about. You covered the spectrum nicely. I would just, again, context would be and a little bit more curiosity, more context, more naming stuff and searching for that little golden nugget would really ramp up the curiosity for me. But I'll say the same thing to you, Christy. I love having you here, and I could definitely see you in the winner's circle soon. Alex Petting getting it in under the buzzer. Nice work. Okay. Joe's get rich quick idea that failed miserably and how it helped build a $140 million behemoth. See the difference there, everybody? Yeah. Use the eye-popping number. $140 a word without context doesn't mean anything. $140 million behemoth is like, what? 140 million. And I would even say a year, because if it was 140 million over 10 years, it's not much. But the fact that they did that last year. So add fuel to the fire of all your sales by using the onboard method described at. Looks like you forgot to complete that bullet. 1420 Joe. Oh, I think you probably just were going to put the timestamp there. Joe spills the secret how all of Agora's new writers go from okay enough to A-list in just 8 weeks, and you can do it too. Yeah, cool. I don't know that they quite go to A-list in 8 weeks. Maybe that might be a bit of a stretch, but I like what you're saying. This is great. Copywriting isn't brain surgery. It's actually much harder. Learn why. Yep. Good stuff, Alex. Great job. Thanks for jumping in. So again, congrats, Zach. I think we can improve yours still, but I love your progress. You made great, interesting choices, and congrats on keeping at it. And so let's do it again. We'll be back in a couple weeks with this. And if you made it through this entire video, wow, you're dedicated. If you made it through this entire video, reply with the word hooligan. I don't know why, I'm just using that word. Just write, tag me and write hooligan if you actually watched all 37 minutes of this video. And I'll have to come up with a special prize because that's impressive. That's dedication. See you next time.